I got to ask this question because it's always fun to ask. How many people are using Final Cut Pro 10 right now?
Oh my God.
Hey, look at that. Look at that.
That's unbelievable.
And how many people who are using Final Cut Pro 10 like it?
Almost. There we go.
Okay. All right, well, we're devoting the second half of the show to stuff that you might not know that Final Cut Pro 10 does. And because there's a lot of misinformation out there about Final Cut Pro 10. There's a lot of haters, again, this is the Los Angeles Creative Pro user group. We don't care what tool that you use, but we also care that the information that you get is the right information. And one of the people that is going to give you some of that right information is sitting right here on my right. His name is Sam Mestman, and he has worked for Apple, and he has worked for ESPN, and he's worked on the television show Glee, and Break.com, just to name a few, and he is now the chief workflow architect for LumaForge right here in Hollywood. He's also a regular writer for a movie magazine, a Movie Maker magazine. He teaches workflow for Reducation classes and specializes in saving independent producers tens of thousands of dollars while delivering a top quality product. Did you write that?
I don't know. Who wrote that? I didn't know you were actually going to read that.
No, actually, I usually paraphrase, but I decided to read that because I figured you spent a lot of time saying you deliver a top quality product. Anyway, he's also the founder and CEO of this really groovy group called We Make Movies, which is really big here in Hollywood and also up in Canada, and it's kind of getting worldwide. And it is a very big, large collective of filmmakers, and I urge you to take a look at it. It's WeMakeMovies.com, right?
Org.
Oh, .org. Oh. All right, WeMakeMovies.org. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about Final Cut 10 and things that it can do that you do not know it can do, so please welcome Sam Mestman.
How you guys doing? So we're going to talk about an extremely sexy topic tonight, metadata. I imagine this is, outside of Phil and Greg, I'm not sure how much you guys, this is the focus on your minds, but the fact of the matter is actually, I think more and more you're going to find that this metadata and some of the things that you can do with it can allow you to work a lot more effectively. And in my opinion, Final Cut 10 does an extremely good job of taking advantage of this information and allowing you to sort and spend more time on the story and using the metadata to allow you to spend more time on that story, because really at the end of the day, that's the whole point of editing. So what is metadata? This is my definition that I made up, which is any piece of information that helps you separate one piece of information from another. So basically what that means is it could be time code, clip name, sound roll, any of those things I listed, but anything that helps you sort or tell the difference from one thing from another, especially when it comes to editing, that's my definition of metadata. And why does it matter? Well, the big problem that I think a lot of people are facing these days is that you have more and more footage being shot because it's so easy to capture. So you have mountains of footage coming in, and really it becomes to the point where it's hard to even watch all of it because there's no way to do it. So how do you then go, and once you've watched it, you know, and you've got 80 hours in a documentary, how do you then go back and say, where was that one little piece that I thought was really good? What clip was that in, right? So that's where metadata can come in handy, and that's why this is important. And I think it's going to be something that more and more people focus on as more and more footage starts to come in from set. So how does Final Cut 10 approach metadata, and why does any of this matter? Well, anyway, Apple has taken something that most people instinctively know, understand, and use every day, which is pretty much the Google search bar. And they've gone and they've merged it with an Excel database. And that's basically what Final Cut 10 is. It's a spreadsheet with a Google search bar. And the faster you start thinking about that, the more you're going to be able to take advantage of it, because then you can simply go in and like ask Google anything and it'll find it. And the thing is, you have to prep and tag the way that you might do that as if it was an internet page and you were tagging your website. That's kind of the way Final Cut 10 works. And it boils down, and now that you notice Mavericks has tags. Well, Final Cut 10 has tags too, and they're called keywords or favorites or some of these other things. And the more that you tag, the more you can find and the more that you can search. And that's really what it comes down to is think about the way you might want to find things later on in your edit, and then you can prepare for that. And you're going to get a whole lot more out of your edit as you get deeper into it. And as you start looking for things, you're going to be able to find them much easier if you take a couple minutes and plan what you might actually be looking for. And on higher level feature films, the number one person that you need to make friends with is the script supervisor, because they are basically controlling what information people are keeping track of on set. So the more information you can get from them, the more information you can then search for in your edit if you prep things in the right way, which is some of the things I'm going to show you in a little bit. And really what I'm showing you here is going to be pretty primitive in terms of where this is all heading. You know, what I'm doing today, like I would imagine is going to be different 2 months from now, 3 months from now. And it's just the beginning of some of, I think, the way people are going to be searching for footage. So that being said, let's quickly go over the basics. I'm going to try and get you guys up to speed. I've done some of this stuff other places, but I'm just going to give you a quick overview of how basic metadata entry works in Final Cut. So I'm finally going to enter the program here, and we're in Final Cut. This is just a basic blank event with some epic footage that I have in here. And if we go and select a bunch of clips, we can go into the inspector here, and I can enter in metadata across all of these clips through the inspector. So I'm going to enter in 12 here. And you'll notice in the scene column, I now have 12 over there entered across all of those clips that I've selected. The same goes with camera angle. So I'm going to call this Cam A. Now, what can I do with this information? Basically, one of the real advantages is there's this thing called batch renaming. And so I could theoretically rename all of these clips. So I've got 6 clips selected here. If I hit this little gear icon, there's Apply Custom Name. And if I go into Edit here, what it's going to do, I've made a preset here. It's scene_angle_counter. And what does that counter do? Counter is going to add numbers after the information that I've entered in under the scene and camera angle tabs. So when I go and I click OK here, and now I go and have these clips selected, if I go and hit this preset, it's going to automatically rename these clips based on how I entered in my metadata. So you can go through and quickly find shots and slates and quickly rename if you're an indie filmmaker and get up and running and editing, because that's the whole point of this, is I don't want to mess with all this stuff. I just want it named so I can find it and start editing, because that's the point. So some other stuff that, in a feature film workflow with Final Cut 10, some other stuff that may be of interest is like, it's not radically different. They haven't completely reinvented things here. Basically, I have, you still have, instead of bins named after scenes, you might have keyword collections named after scenes. And the only difference here is that with scene-based keyword collections, you're not limited to just having them live within one scene. So for instance, if I was to jump down to here and select this clip, and I hit the right arrow, I can see all the keyword collections that this clip lives in. So right now, it's living in a day 1 keyword collection, but it's also living in a scene 10 keyword collection, which means that I can have the same clip living multiple places, as opposed to just living in one bin. So think about it, there's more than one way to find something. Cross-referencing, there we go. And the camera angle field, if you use a lot of multicam, is literally your best friend. So I'm going to show you something highly unprofessional that I did, that we do regularly for our film collective. We make movies. We do an hour-long filmmaking podcast using 3 DSLR cameras. There is no time code. There is no slate. We sync everything based on waveform in Final Cut 10, and I've sunk all of these clips here. 16 clips, no slate, no time code, just using waveforms. And when I double-click these, you're going to notice that I've got 16 clips living in here, and they've all been sorted based on the camera angle metadata that I've gone and entered. So Cam A, Cam B, Cam C, and Z audio. And I can do this, it's gonna sync according to waveform, and it's gonna slot them based on how I've used my metadata. And I've done it, if you guys wanna know a little bit more about this, I got a lot I gotta get through, but I did a little video about this. It's called Batch Renaming and Advanced Multicam Sync. Just kind of Google my name and it'll come up. But it allows you to get to work faster using metadata. And additionally, one thing I would recommend that you do is if you come into a clip, not a lot of people know this, but if you go and select a clip, so we'll just go into this blank event here, and there's this thing called a favorite, and you can drag across a clip, and we'll go I, O, and I'm gonna push F, and that's gonna make a favorite, right? And if you rename your favorite, we'll call this amazing. And you can then search for this favorite directly in here. It's like a Google search, that's all it is, amazing. I have one clip, favorite, bam. So if you start doing things like that across your edit, all you need to do is you wanna check back on it 3 or 4 months later. If you took the time to prep it properly, you can find it just like that. It's simple. So I'm gonna unrate that. And another thing that you can do within Final Cut that not a lot of people know about is if you go and click in here, I'm gonna click out of the search filter and select this clip. See, there's a slate here at the top. You can get rid of stuff like this within the clip just by pushing the delete key, and it's gonna reject it. And then if I go to hide rejected, I can get rid of things like the slate. So my slate is now gone. And I can do this. This can work for all the different sections of the clips. I can delete this section of the clip, this whole end of the clip, just by pushing delete. And it's still going to live there. And now I just have this little section. And if I want it to come back, all clips, and tab in there, open up. I have 2 rejected sections. See the red bar above it, which I can then easily get rid of. So if you want to narrow down some of the trash, if you have lots of clips, this is a great way to pare it down, is by using rejections. And you can always get them back, it's non-destructive. Markers for series takes, right? And so if you go through, if you have a director who likes to work with a lot of series takes, you put in a marker, and then I can call this, take 6. And guess what? This is searchable from here as well. So your markers are also searchable. And there we go. And basically, it's this type of thing. Like all of this stuff is searchable. You can this can help you find anything, and it's just like a Google search. And that's kind of the thing that not a lot of people understand. And the second you start realizing that is the second that you're going to really start to be able to find things faster in your edit. So let's talk about documentaries now. And one thing that you might do for a documentary, I recently did a large behind-the-scenes installation, and one of the things that you can do is search for things in multiple different ways. So for instance, for a documentary, you might search based on interviews, based on locations, or based on people. So I have keywords for all of these different things, and they're all either referencing sections within a clip or the entire clip themselves. And some of these clips will live in more than one place, and it almost doesn't matter. And when I click here, I haven't even bothered to rename any of these clips because I know that just using keywords, I can find anything I need to find. So, for instance, a quick way if you wanted to search for keywords might be to open up, see that little magnifying glass at the top there? You click that, and you can do a custom search. And I'm going to search based on keywords. And I'm going to include all, and I'm going to uncheck all. And now, if I wanted to find anything with the Amanda keyword, I can hit that. There's 3 clips. But what if I wanted to see something with Amanda and Chad both in it? I hit that. Now I'm down to 2 clips. And what if I wanted to see only the sections within that I'd already favorited? What would I do? I'd go up here, and I click Favorites. And now I'm down to 1 clip, which is just the favorited selection. And I'm able to do that in seconds. And I guess my question to you all is, could you do that anywhere else? And if so, I'd like to see how. So additionally, one thing that you should consider doing is using favorites for talking heads. So basically, if you're going through and you have lots of different themes that you might want to search later, one thing that you can do is use that whole search based on favorites for lines of dialogue or themes, because then you're going to be able to search for all of those later on, and you can search based on people, you can search for all of these different things. So that's another thing in terms of the documentary that might be useful. Also, that whole idea of rejecting things in a documentary is about the most useful thing ever, because let's be honest, in most documentaries, you're not using most of the clips that you end up cutting with. You want to get rid of a lot of trash, but you also don't necessarily want to delete these things out of your folder. So it might be much easier to simply select all the clips that you don't want to use, push delete, they're going to be rejected, and then you can always see them, but you don't need to look at them all of the time. So now, the main attraction, which is advanced uses for metadata. And the big one, actually, is courtesy of Phil and Greg, actually, is based on using audio metadata and their program Sync and Link X, so that on set, you could theoretically have a completely synced, renamed project that you could send back to post-production from set. And actually, you could bring and download all of this footage and have it synced and renamed based on the audio metadata within about 5 minutes, and I'm going to do it right now. So I've gone up here, and if you go and I have this event, it's called For Onset. And when I click in here, I'm going to click back to all clips, and you're going to see that I have audio clips, and then I have 2 cameras worth of footage. This is all red stuff, 4K from a feature film, Cam A, Cam B, audio. And the only thing you'll notice that I've entered in, I haven't entered any of the scene. This comes in automatically with the audio. The only thing I've bothered to enter in is Cam A and Cam B camera angle metadata, because I didn't want to go through the whole thing of dragging this stuff in, and because I'm on a limited amount of time. But if I go in here and I select this audio clip, what's interesting about it is that it automatically comes in with scene 15A, so it has scene and take information. And if you'll notice, if I go down to camera angle, this has camera angle information baked in there. So all I would need to do to merge these together would be to go under File, export an XML of this event, because you can export event XML. And then, if I go and I open up Sync and Link X, I've already made this XML. So if I go and open this, I'm going to select the XML from this event that I've made. It's going to open it up. And basically, I can name the synchronized clip using audio metadata. And I'm going to add audio and video metadata to these clips. And I'm going to trim the clips, and I'm also going to add the sub-roll and the track name info, and that's going to get embedded as well when it comes back into Final Cut 10. And literally all I need to do now is hit sync clips. And it's going to go through, it's going to automatically sync all of this stuff. I'm going to save the XML file, it's going to save it to the same place, and now it's going to bring in this event automatically into Final Cut 10. It's syncing to the original R3D files. So this is literally syncing back to the original 4K files. Now I'm going to hit this synced keyword collection. And if you look at that, I have clips named after the audio metadata. Now, here's something that's interesting, though, is that I have a Cam A and a Cam B named after the same thing. So what if I wanted to see the camera angle here? Well, all I would need to do would be to go in here and use batch renaming, and if I had a custom preset that was named after scene, shot take, and camera angle, I could just hit that. And now I have all of my clips completely renamed, synced together. It took me less than 10 minutes. Where else can you do that? So the only minor issue with this is that if you have MOS clips, you're going to have to use the method I explained earlier to go and quickly sync those, and then you're going to be up to speed. That's using timecode synced audio. So if you're using, you need to use second source audio with this that has sync timecode. But if you do that, yeah, jam sync timecode. What else we got here? All right, so now let's go over to script notes. And basically, here's what I'm talking about, where the script supervisor can be your best friend. And I had to use this. This is the demo. I can't actually use any of the stuff that we're currently using, but this will work just fine for our purposes. So basically, what you'll notice about this is created through Scripty, and this is their sample that they give out as a sample report. And Scripty is a standard script supervisor software that a lot of professionals use. And you can text select in here and copy. And if I wanted, I could select, that was for, by the way, if you're wondering what I just copied, is the description for these 7 takes from the script supervisor. So I could literally go in here and we'll go into this blank event and I'm going to find 7 clips and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to select these and I'll go up into the notes field and I'm just going to paste in there and it's applied this information to that. And now what I would do would be to go and select the take specific information. What's going on? Oh, it's here. We're just going to select the take specific information from here, copy, and paste, and I'm going to go to, we'll pretend this is take 2. I'm going to paste this right after. And yeah, this might be a little time consuming, but theoretically there might be something in the not so distant future that would do this automatically. And also, since you just completely synced and renamed all of your clips, you have time to do this now. So basically, where was I? Here we go. We go to, right. So if I go to this clip, you'll notice that I've entered in a lot of this stuff here for these clips, just for one scene, just to give you guys a sense of what you can do. So now, if I extend this out, you'll notice that I've made character and shot type smart collections for all this stuff. So now I can search based on this scene for any clips that contain the character Agnes, audience, Hans, host, narrator, poet. I can also search based on shot type, over the shoulder, profile, wide shot. All of this stuff quickly just using a smart collection, and when I double click that, all it is a text filter with the script supervisor's code that has been entered in there. And you can do this with all of these filters and easily search and find things. And additionally, what else did I have here? What if there was a way to do this using scripts, lines, for instance, to possibly mimic Avid Script Sync? Well, if your script supervisor is really nice, we kind of, on the latest movie that I was just working on, we came up with this code. So basically, this is scene 8, and there are 35 lines of dialogue within this scene, right? So if we step back into Final Cut 10, and I go to my standard keyword tags, I have lines 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, 13 through 16, all the way down to line 36 as custom keywords that I can apply using Control 1 through 9. So, for instance, if I was to go here and select across a section, and actually I'm just going to do it out of here real quick. We go to this clip, and I'm going to do out, and let's pretend I just went around lines 1 through 4. I'm just going to push Control 1. I've applied the lines 1 to 4 keyword. This is lines 5 through 8. This is lines 9 through 12. And you can quickly go through and apply these codes so that later on, when you come back in, you can do a custom search based on the following criteria. What if I wanted to search first for all of the clips that contained Hans, the character? And then, what if I wanted to add an additional search to include all of the clips that were over the shoulder shots with Hans? And then, what if I wanted to add an additional search that included all, and uncheck all, that then contained lines 1 through 4 of dialogue within that scene? I can quickly narrow this down and find that clip like that. and all it takes is adding in some metadata. So that's basically a general overview of some of the different things you can do in Final Cut 10 using metadata. And, you know, you want to call it iMovie Pro, you can, but I don't care what the name is, I just care what I can do with it. Anyway, in terms of the future, I think this is just kind of scratching the surface, and it won't really be long before you can send a fully synced, properly named event with correct script supervisor metadata from set back to post that day and be able to sit down and start working. And I think that's just the near future. Who knows where we'll be a year from now. So anyway, additionally, we do all kinds of stuff over at LumaForge. If you want more info, check out our website at lumaforge.com.